Hello gamers, this is Sai and welcome back to Which Way Games. It's up to the Blue Bomber, gamers known as Mega Man, to stop the evil Doctor Wily from taking over the world.
Of course!
And with that being said, let's get on with the video. We're going back to the 80s to the 8-bit era of gaming, where gamers could either play on Sega's Master System or Nintendo's NES. Both were giants in the home console market at the time, but today I'll be sticking with Nintendo's Grey Box of Dreams. Being released outside of Japan in the mid-80s, Nintendo has a great library of games to choose from. These being Metroid, Legend of Zelda, Castlevania and the original Mario. Obviously, gamers will know how important that game is, especially to a certain blue hedgehog.
Kids, don't use Formula 1 race cars to chase hedgehogs.
And speaking of the colour blue, there was a great platforming series on the NES that starred a blue robotic protagonist called Mega Man. Now, gamers can play the Mega Man series either by owning the original copies, playing on the mini NES, or even playing the Mega Man Legacy collections. Well worth the asking price if you ask me. The Mega Man series is regarded as one of those franchises all gamers must play, kinda like a rite of passage before a gamer can truly call themselves one. Coordination and a lot of patience is what is needed when playing the Mega Man series, but before I carry on, let's go back to where it all started. In Japan, Mega Man was called Rockman, but in development he had many names such as Mighty Kid, Knuckle Kid and Rainbow Man before Rockman was ultimately chosen. Now, Mega Man was developed and published by Capcom. However, Capcom's Joe Morrissey, who was the president of the Consumer Products Division, felt that the title of Rockman was terrible and changed it to Mega Man. Speaking of Capcom, they're also widely known for other game franchises such as Monster Hunter, Dino Crisis and a legendary fighting game called Street Fighter 2, which has its own spin-off and different variations of this series. Anyway, going back to the Blue Bomber called Mega Man, the first game in the series was originally only planned to be released within Japan. With home console gaming on the rise in popularity, this would be Capcom's first time releasing games for gamers at home. And with Capcom developing Mega Man, they decided to bring in some fresh talent to get the game underway. Director Akira Kutamaro and a small development team of 6 began development of Mega Man. Composer Maname Matsume was part of this team and created the music of Mega Man as well as some sound effects, and some gamers I know still listen to the music of Mega Man even today. Also, part of the team was several artists who worked together on the game. However, artist Keiji Inafune, who had originally started on the Street Fighter team, was tasked with designing not only all the enemies of Mega Man, but including our blue robotic hero. Inafune was inspired by Osamu Tezuka's manga called Astro Boy, and wanted to portray Mega Man as a young man with a sense of justice, always willing to do the right thing when evil rose its ugly head. It doesn't get much better than this, running around blasting away the enemies with a Mega Buster cannon for an arm. But one question is, why is Mega Man blue? This is because the colour palette for the NES has more of a variety of blue, and this allowed developers to be more descriptive with the character design for Mega Man. Eventually, Inafune decided that Mega Man would be able to change colour when he gets a new weapon, but felt it would feel weird to keep him blue when shooting red flames after grabbing the power of Fireman.
You can't make a dent in me, Mega Man. I'm rough. I'm buff. I'm tough stuff.
Eat plasma, big mouth!
Mega Man was released for the NES in 1987, although in Japan, Mega Man was known as Rockman like I said. Gamers would control Mega Man as he battles against the evil Doctor Wily and the 6 robotic masters. The design of Doctor Wily was based on Albert Einstein, and these robotic masters were known as Cutman, Gutsman, Iceman, Bombman, Fireman and Elecman, each with a unique ability that can be harnessed to further Mega Man's journey throughout the game. Being able to choose which order to defeat the Robot Masters was praised by critics, and with each Robot Master being vulnerable to a specific weapon, this very much took inspiration from the game of rock, paper and scissors. Gamers were encouraged to beat certain stages before others, taking full advantage of this idea. But sadly, Mega Man was not a commercial success, and with no plans for a sequel, Akira Kutamaro had to convince Capcom's vice president to proceed with creating Mega Man 2. And after a lot of persuasion, Mega Man 2 was eventually given the green light, but only if Akira and his team worked concurrently on other projects as well. Now, it seems to me that Capcom likes to take risks when it comes to sequels, but this obviously does pay off. I mean, look at the success story of Street Fighter 2. With most of the original team returning, they would have to use their own time developing Mega Man 2, improving on some of the aspects of the original, as well as using unused content as well. Akira Kutamaro wanted to get some more ideas from gamers, so he allowed some input from the public, such as boss designs. And after Capcom received 8,370 submissions, these would dwindle down to 8 Robot Masters. These new robotic masters were called Metal Man, Air Man, Bubble Man, Crash Man, Heat Man, Flash Man, Wood Man, and Quick Man, and ultimately were more difficult to defeat than the original. Sadly, Manami Matsume didn't return fully, and in her place was another composer called Takashi Tataishi. And in 1988, Mega Man 2 was released. And like always, let's go back to the past to see how it was advertised.
まだまだ懲りないドクター・ワイリーの野望。グレードアップした8ステージの強敵ロボット、面白さ2倍。究極の痛快アクションゲーム、ドッグマン2、ドクター・ワイリーの謎。
The plot of Mega Man 2 takes one place after the original in the year 2000X. With Doctor Wily being defeated by Mega Man, he creates his own set of robotic masters, as well as a new fortress to torment the world from. Dr. Light, the creator of the Blue Bomber, sends Mega Man to once again defeat Dr. Wily and stop the evil robot masters. What follows is an even harder side-scrolling action platformer, improving on the original and cementing its place in gaming history as one of the greatest games of all time. Gameplay for Mega Man 2 is somewhat unchanged from the original, with the gamer controlling Mega Man through 8 stages that represent the robot masters and their unique weapon. Carrying on the inspiration of the game of Rock, Paper and Scissors, when Mega Man defeats a robot master, he'll take on their weapon as a special ability, which can then be used in later battles like I mentioned before. A new addition to the series was Dr. Wily's Fortress, which would put gamers to the test with battling the Robot Masters a second time before gamers would go head to head with the evil scientist. Dr. Wily even tries to trick Mega Man into thinking he's an alien. Obviously this doesn't work and the Doctor is ultimately defeated. As I said earlier about the original Mega Man not being a commercial success, Mega Man 2 changed all that, and the Mega Man series went on to become one of Capcom's many popular gaming series. In fact, Mega Man 2 has sold over 1.5 million copies since its release back in 1988, and is also deemed as the most successful of the entire franchise. It did lead to quite a few sequels, a trip into the world of 3D, and a spin-off game for the Mega Drive called Mega Man The Wily Wars. This game's plot is Dr. Wily has been travelling through time in an attempt to stop Mega Man in all 3 of his conflicts with the Doctor, or in other words, the first 3 Mega Man games. Now, as I was saying about the popularity of Mega Man, this led to some comics being made, as well as a cartoon show. The plot of the show is set within the Mega Man universe, with Dr. Wily causing mayhem alongside an advanced prototype robot known as Proto Man. Each episode has Mega Man and his dog Rush stop the various schemes of the Doctor. Rush does act very similar to Scooby-Doo, but minus the Scooby Snacks and the Mystery Machine. There was another cartoon called Captain N, if I remember, that had Mega Man be a supporting character. But this green version isn't as good as the original blue, plus this isn't Simon Belmont. Despite the massive success of Mega Man, Capcom have shelved the franchise for the moment, but gamers can still play as him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, although I have a feeling the Blue Bomber will return in the future. But as I mentioned earlier, if gamers want to play most of the Mega Man games for more modern consoles, the Mega Man Legacy collections are available and give the option to play through all 10 games. Mega Man 2 is also one of those games that I go back to, not only for the addictive gameplay, but for the great soundtrack. Now, some gamers will agree with me that it's one of the best in the series. In fact, a gamer I know called Karcamogaming dedicated an entire month to the Blue Bomber. Gamers can easily tell that he's a massive fan of Mega Man, especially Mega Man X. Anyway, come back next time where a certain Saiyan travels all over the world on a journey to collect the 7 magical Dragon Balls. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.